I was having breakfast with a friend this morning, and she mentioned the acronym S.T.U.N, S-T-U-N, and it stands for Success Through Utter Neglect. And I was immediately captivated, and I came up with a little RJ structure that I could use with my clients, because this seems life-changing. And it seems perspective altering. Like, dare I say, it's a paradigm change. And I'm really glad that she and this acronym brought this idea into focus for me, because it's been on the periphery of my awareness for a while now. And here it is, bang, in the center of my field of attentional vision. So the two questions I'm going to ask in this structure are: which things have not only survived but thrived in your life with absolutely minimal tending on your part, ideally no tending? And how can you take the unpleasant and tedious parts of your life and design them so they need no tending for you? And what I mean by this is like maintenance tasks, like doing things over and over again, like weeding and dishes and laundry and taxes, things we think we're trapped into. Which things can we just drop? How can we place them in our lives in such a way that we don't need to pay attention to them, and yet they'll still be doing well? Or prove that they can be omitted and nothing bad will happen. So let's try it out. I'll answer the first question, which is: which things have not only survived but thrived in your life with absolutely minimal tending on your part, ideally no tending? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is my garden. I have a permaculture food forest garden, and what that means is I plant on a thick bed of compost and sheet mulch and all these things, perennial edibles. And instead of putting things in neat rows, I deliberately make the placement of the plants random. And instead of rescuing plants that are failing, I let them die and compost in place. And I just watch which plants grow, and occasionally stick new seeds out into the soil and see what comes up. And I allow weeds and grass to grow in there, and I allow things to be visibly dead in there. And it works. The plants that are still living are plants that are ideally situated in their context of the soil they're in, the amount of sunlight they receive, the amount of water they receive. I use automatic drip irrigation, which requires no tending from me and works great. So that's the thing. I'm not spending time out there every few days watering my plants, and I'm not transferring plants that aren't doing well, and I'm not maintaining strict rows and manicured visuals. Instead, I planned for the plants to grow over time and to go through their life cycles. For example, I have carrots that I use not as edibles, but because I know they're biennials, and I know that in the first year, they'll function just like the carrots we already know, but in the second year, they'll make beautiful flowers that last for ages, and they look like Queen Anne's lace, which is in fact wild carrot, and then they drop seeds, and there are more carrots, and then the carrot underneath, the root, rots away and becomes compost and contributes to the enrichment of the soil. And I let the grapevines crawl on the rose bushes and over the beams of the porch. And it's this crazy, wild, colorful tangle that's full of food and herbs and blossoms and beauty, and the bees and the hummingbirds and the butterflies and the squirrels and the crows. They love it. So there's always something new going on out there. And it's a little jungly, but it's exactly what I like. And we have enough pathways, and we trim the walkways often enough that it's not troublesome to the neighbors. So I never water, I never weed, I never prune. All I do is go out occasionally and stick a new seed in the ground for fun, and that is hardly arduous, and there's no regular schedule. Like, it can be months between planting packets of seeds. So that's a thing that has thrived on complete neglect for me. Just because of the way I structured it in my mind, and having ways of understanding that this way is not only okay, but beneficial and great and beautiful and healthy in its own way. The other thing that is working for me with only the most minimal of tending operations is indoor plants. And I've only been having success for a couple of years with this. Previously, I would have said, don't give me plants. They will die. I have killed even the most seemingly hardy plants like aloe vera and succulents. Like, I have been historically very bad with plants, but then I discovered terracotta plant watering stakes, which are these sharp pointed terracotta tubes, and then you put glass bottles full of water in them, and the water seeps out slowly through the terracotta and waters the plant at a little bits at a time, and doesn't disturb the root structure, doesn't overwater, doesn't underwater. Doesn't matter which kind of plant you have, be it succulent or whatever, it just kind of works. And then I just have to notice when the bottle is out of water and make sure to eventually go put more water, and then put the water in the terracotta plant stake, and it's done. And I only fill the water bottles like every few weeks, so not worried. And then I also put these little 6-month fertilizing candle looking things in the pot, and then they're fertilized for 6 months, and they're watered every few weeks, and I have like 6 healthy indoor plants, and that is amazing to me. So that's an example of something that's flourishing with minimal tending. My piano teaching career has survived on sheer neglect. Seriously, I just wait for students to show up to their lessons, and when they show up, I pay full attention to them and enjoy them and teach them what I know. But I don't do any advertising. It's all word of mouth at this point, and people will just call me and say, I hear you teach voice lessons. I know so-and-so. They recommended you to me. Can I come over and start? And I'll say, yeah, sure. Come on over at this time. And then they do. And for a few months or a few years, I get to enjoy a student, sometimes for like 10 years or longer. And I didn't put any investment of time in it. I got started because someone asked me, do you teach piano lessons? And I was like, I don't, but I could try. And from then, it's just grown effortlessly. So that's cool. I remember the day I was able to quit my retail job. I was working as an associate at a place where you do photocopying, and I was able to leave and just teach out of my home, and that was very liberating. I'm going to say something that I find almost controversial, because it feels like this is so sacred and like it deserves attention. But you know what? I will say my long-term friendships have survived with minimal tending on my part. And a lot of this has to do with really focusing on the person when they're in front of me, and making sure that we're having a good time and that everybody feels comfortable. Um, and this works. Sometimes because we just encounter each other spontaneously and regularly, and we don't have to plan, and we just see each other and we talk, and it's great, and I feel very close to them. Or with some other people, scheduling the next visit as the current visit ends. It's like, oh, when should we see each other again? Let's pull out our calendars, and then we schedule a time, maybe 3 months out, maybe a week out, and then we show up and we see each other again. But I don't have to tend that in the interim, and I can choose my own pace. And that is really helpful. And then there are the friendships where I don't encounter the person regularly, and where we didn't make an appointment, and we just randomly see each other maybe years later, and we just pick up where we left off, and we never worried that the other person didn't like us anymore, and we never felt any ill will to them. We just drifted apart, and then we drift back together, and it's beautiful. And maybe we continue in that vein, just appreciating each other when we see each other, or maybe we make a little effort to make appointments. And that's actually left me with a beautiful network of friends, and I feel like that's really good. Another thing that thrives with basically no attention from me is my wardrobe. I've got my little uniform. I wear black knit dresses that are wash and wear and don't wrinkle. I have little black cardigans and sweaters and knit jackets that I wear over the top when it's cold enough. And then I have big, bold necklaces. So when I get dressed in the morning, it is literally underpants, bra, black dress, black overthing, bold necklace, and a shoe. And I wear sandals in the summer and boots in the winter, and I don't think about it. And I feel like I look stylish, and I feel comfortable, and I'm just not worried about how I look. Another thing that works pretty much through absolute neglect is my grooming. I don't wear makeup. I don't apply products to my face or to my hair. I have a wash and wear haircut that I think is really cute. It's this asymmetrical bob thing, so it's got a little verve, but it doesn't take any styling. I just wash and brush. And my skin is pretty clear, and the only thing I do is when I get itchy, like my skin gets a little dry in the winter, then I might put lotion, like scent-free, color-free lotion on the itchy parts, and no big deal. And I just make sure my nails are kind of short and clean, and they get clean in the shower, and they get short actually usually when I bite them but sometimes when I'm feeling fancy, when I actually clip them with nail clippers. And I wear deodorant and no perfume unless I feel like I'm going to be by myself all day and I would like to smell nice. But I try not to wear perfume when I'm going to be in close quarters with anybody, especially in a crowd of people, because I don't want to cause anybody discomfort with smell. Another thing that thrives on minimal, neglect for me is my investments. I have a little app that rolls over my change from debit card purchases into investments, and if the dollar amount is even, it'll tuck a full dollar in there, and I've got a multiplier on it, like a ×5 of that, and it's invisible. I don't notice it, and yet I'm investing in a long-term retirement fund. I also funnel automatic amounts of money into that account every month. And I don't think about it. There is nothing doing over there as far as I'm concerned, but I trust it to keep going. And I set up my portfolio in a way that I'm really comfortable with. And the other thing that really works for me is cultivating long-term projects by having weekly commitments with other people, and then having a sort of structure for those commitments. So I can put them down in between the visits, but I know that they're going to show up, or I'm going to show up, and we'll do the thing, and we'll have a structure, and it'll chug along like machinery via structure and repetitive, ongoing physical meetings. And that, gosh, I have run things for like more than 10 years that way, and they turn out great, and I can be extraordinarily committed if I put things in that context. So that is a design principle I should really be considering. That might actually really work for some things that maybe I have a hard time doing on my own. That's all I can really think of for success through utter neglect in my life currently. Although I will say that there are days when I'm just too tired to do everything for my son, who is 6, and being able to say, no, you're going to make your breakfast this morning, means that he sort of figures it out. He'll get on a stool, he'll get out some graham crackers and a banana and pour himself a glass of milk. And I'm like, yeah, that's totally fine. That is a fine breakfast. Great. We got all the things. We got a piece of produce, we got, a carby thing, and we got some protein from the milk. He's gonna be okay. And meanwhile, he's figuring out, like, how do I open a packet of graham crackers? How do I pour a glass of milk? How do I get the glass of milk? How do I get the graham crackers? And I think that's really great for his sense of innovation and independence and personal sense of competence. For example, yesterday I challenged him to do his own load of laundry, and by golly, he sorted out his clothes from the other laundry. He put it in the washer, he put the soap, he set the timer, he turned it on, and then when the laundry was over, when the washing machine was done, he walked his little butt on over and he transferred his clothes and he checked the lint trap, and then he set the timer for the dryer and pushed the button, and it was done, and I did nothing. And I feel like that is really great for him, because now he's 6 and he can make his breakfast and he can do his laundry, and I feel like that really sets him up for being an adult later. And it's not like I do this all the time. I do take care of my son, but I think stepping back mindfully and letting him do his own thing and take care of himself is very useful. Okay, let's move on to question 2. How can you take the unpleasant and tedious parts of your life and design them so they need no tending from you? Well, let's start with laundry. Laundry is just one of these ongoing things because we need to wash our clothes so they don't stink and they're not crusty with like food splatter or mud or whatever it is. So I don't think I can completely stop doing laundry. So how can I make it so it needs no tending from me? I mean, the most obvious answer is to delegate it to someone. Like maybe I could give my son a chore where he does my laundry for me. And it's just like a rule in the house. I don't know, maybe. I haven't really thought about my approach to chores, and that seems a little self-serving, but it would also help him contribute to the house in a meaningful way. So I will consider that, I guess, although it embarrasses me. I like my cheeks are actually blushing right now. But kids have chores, right? Okay, that's a parenting thing. I need to think about that. What's another thing I could do that's not outsourcing? So it needs no tending from me. I mean, I could increase the number of clothes I have, so I need to do laundry less frequently, but then that would mean that I have more clothes to put away when I am done. Now, what I have done already is I've made it so I can wash all my laundry together at the same temperature without any sorting, and with the same treatment. Kind of that like survival of the best adjusted to the context thing. Like if something doesn't work with other stuff, I just get rid of it. And I've made it so instead of folding my laundry and putting it in drawers, I buy only fabric that doesn't wrinkle. And then I have a shelf or a hamper for each type of clothing. So my underwear goes in a hamper on top of a bookcase. And that bookcase has broad shelves, and I put the dresses on one shelf and the over things on another shelf. And then I put my bras on top of the bookcase next to the hamper. And that actually works great. So I've really removed a lot of tending because I'm not like rolling or folding or hanging. I just go, this is a dress toss, this is a bra place, this is underwear put. So in a way, maybe I have already minimized a lot of the steps in my laundry. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I could do to remove steps. One thing I do is I have 2 hampers for my dirty clothing, one in my boyfriend's bedroom and one in my husband's bedroom. So a thing I could do is just select one hamper for myself, so I don't have to go find all my dirty clothes in both rooms and combine them. So I could do the one hamper technique. And gosh, that actually seems pretty good to me. So maybe I'll consider making it a chore for my son to do my laundry. And maybe I'll consider doing the one hamper technique, because between the 2 of those things, I would never have to worry about my laundry. This seems audacious. I don't know that I'm brave enough to ask my son to do my laundry. I'm going to think about it. Okay, dishes. How can I design dishes so they need no tending from me? Well, maybe I could make a trade with one of my partners, like I do this thing you don't like to do and you handle the dishes. We already do a thing where if I cook a meal, my boyfriend does the dishes and my husband puts away the leftovers. Dishes seem like one of those things that have got to get done. Like, something I've been trying to do is habituate, like create a habit of like emptying the dishwasher in the morning and running the dishwasher in the evening, which doesn't sound too hard. I mean, I figured out that it only takes about 3 minutes to unload the dishwasher and only about 5 minutes to load the dishwasher if I do fancy things like rinsing, right? Another thing I might do is wait until the kitchen bothers me and then unload and load the dishwasher. And maybe somebody else will become bothered in the interim and come over and take a whack at it. And by that, I mean my husband. So those are 2 things I could definitely consider. One requires daily tending from me, and like twice a day. And that's counter to the premise of no tending. So if I made it so I only wash the dishes when the state of the kitchen bothers me, then I can not do the dishes. But this runs a risk of having so many dishes that we have to spend a lot more time doing it. And of course, it's always embarrassing when people come over and there are a ton of dirty dishes in the sink, and the sink has food crud on the bottom and standing water, and it stinks, and it's gross, and it's slovenly. But I think it's important to normalize having working moms with dirty kitchens. Because if I am managing to work and to take care of my family and to feed everybody, I'm doing great. And I don't need to worry about having a clean kitchen. And, you know, I think other messy people who come to my house will feel good that they're not somehow inferior to everybody else, because other people have messy kitchens too, and they're happy and they're healthy and all is well. So maybe I can do that. Maybe I'll try letting the kitchen slide until I'm bothered by the look and the smell and the lack of clean dishes. And then I just unload and load the dishwasher and do any quick little tidying that I jolly well feel like, and let it go. And just say, this is a low priority for me. I think we would survive that way. The question is, would we thrive that way? And I don't know that having a clean kitchen really contributes to our thriving, unless it means, I mean, I know I'm more likely to cook when the kitchen has clear surfaces and plenty of available dishes. Urgh. You know, if somebody had solved this already, they would have shouted it from the rooftops. I know how to keep your dishes clean without you having to do anything. I mean, I could live off of paper plates and plastic cups, but that seems environmentally so violent. I don't know if I could handle making that choice. But it would mean that our kitchen would stay clean and we wouldn't be doing dishes. Yikes. That is like the essence of convenience over a sustainable planet. Woof. That would be unethical, wouldn't it? Or would it mean that I'm trading my time for my planet? Oh God, when I put it that way, it seems so obvious that my planet is more important than my time. But my time belongs to me, and the planet is big and old, and I am just a blip. So maybe I can allow myself that laxness. Wow. Well, maybe there's a medium ground here. Maybe I can allow myself to use a few more disposable dishes and allow the kitchen to slide a bit more. And the disposable dishes will mean that the kitchen gets sticky and out of dishes. Okay, there's a balance there. I'm going to write that down. Use more disposable dishes and let the kitchen slide until it bugs you. And for laundry, we were use only one hamper and give Sam a chore of doing your laundry. Pay him? I'm going to think about that. I would feel more comfortable paying him, because that would be teaching him about money and teaching him about having a little job. But what if I just made it part of his responsibility toward the family and how we all contribute and how we all help? I'm going to figure out how to frame that, but I'm leaning toward doing that. So that's interesting. Okay. Let's move on to decluttering. Which is one of those things. It's I know my life will be better with decluttering. I've done a ton of it, and it's like 99% of the time a really good idea. Like, I have literally taken unopened boxes in the garage and thrown them into a dumpster, not knowing what's in there. And only once have I lost something that I really cared about. And it contained my Christmas village, which I had cobbled together at the dollar store, and a beautiful vase that my now dead aunt-in-law gave me. And I'm going to say that I'm okay with that, although I did feel lots of pangs of loss. But aside from that, getting rid of clothes, never a problem. Getting rid of old trophies, not a big deal. Getting rid of old housewares that I never use, not bad at all. Getting rid of paper clutter is a blessing. So I'm all about decluttering, but I don't know how to make it happen on the daily. I don't know how to make it a routine. One thing that I did do was devise this decluttering co-coaching thing that two friends can do, where they coach each other through the vehicle of decluttering. And I would actually love to do this with someone. I wonder if I can dragoon someone into doing this with me. It might actually be fun to do with my husband. Like, have him call me during his lunch hour and have me do it, and then I could, when he gets home, like, step outside and sit on a bench and run through the process with him while he's inside. Oh, but wait, we both have to be home, so we couldn't do it from work. But one of us could go outside while the other one is decluttering, and then we could trade. So that might be fun. Can't do it with my boyfriend because he has, like, no stuff. So that's one idea, is decluttering via coaching. But that is tending. It just makes it more fun. And what I'm trying to do is reduce the tending of it. I mean, I could just make a habit of discarding one object a day, which means I wouldn't be trying to do, like, every day for 5 minutes I'm going to declutter, or once a month I'll do a big decluttering, or every 6 months I go through and I do, like, a mega decluttering, or once a month I will declutter one drawer, because that shit doesn't work for me. I don't. I mean, I could just leave it and not worry about decluttering. How high of a priority is decluttering anyway? I don't know. Like, it seems kind of normal to have shit around. And sometimes it's a little embarrassing, but I don't know that it's hurting anything. I wonder what could happen if I just dropped decluttering and did it when I wanted to. That seems good. So drop decluttering entirely as a task and only do it when I jolly well feel like it. I think that's sufficient. Boredom. So it's kind of ironic that earlier I was saying I've got this rich network of friends that I neglect, and that's surviving and thriving through these methods. But I'm like, also I get bored and I get lonely. Now, boredom. How can I alleviate boredom without cultivating entertainment? You know, one thing I love to do is I love to be creative. I love to design things. I love to ideate. I find great pleasure in invention and reinvention. Right now I'm reading a book called Rebel Talent by Francesca Gino. And she talks about taking basic things that we do, and I'll give some 4 examples that may or not be from the book, but like tying your shoes, brushing your hair, doing the dishes, taking little walks, you know, the route we take to work, and reinventing them to improve them, and just taking stock of all these basics that we do and seeing if there's a way to make them better. So when I'm bored, I could reinvent something and like just say, how could I reinvent the way I play the piano? Or how could I reinvent the way I sweep the floor? Or how could I reinvent the way I walk to school? And just unambitiously, without long-term intent or commitment, just playfully experiment with the way I'm doing things and maybe get a little interested, without making any big promises or making grandiose plans. Just entertain myself via reinvention. Okay, entertain self through reinvention of basics. That's an idea. And that won't mean like every day at 2 o'clock I'm going to watch a movie, or I'm going to schedule way more social time. It's just like, I know how to entertain myself. Let's do that. And that'll not only entertain me, but it might lead to little changes in the way I do things overall, or bust me out of a little rut, or whatever. That seems really good. Loneliness. I do get lonely, especially when I spend my day inside at my computer and I'm not in a state of flow. Like the days when I am dicking around on Facebook and Netflix and Amazon are my worst days, because the kitchen just gets worse and worse, and I'm inside in the dark in front of a screen, so I'm getting no green space, getting no fresh air. I'm really likely to eat like junky food that makes me feel icky on those days. And sometimes, when it ends up that everybody else is out of the house, I'm like, dang. Well, what do I do now? Why didn't I plan for this eventuality? Like, no one's coming over to see me. What am I going to do? And, sometimes I can turn that into like, oh, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to watch a romantic comedy that I wouldn't watch with anybody else around because it wouldn't interest them. Or I'm going to do this. So how can I make it so I'm not lonely through a process of non-tending? Maybe there's an if-then sequence. If I catch myself having an in-the-dark screen day, I could make it a decision. I'm going to spend a day in the dark with my screen, and it's okay because I'm tired. And clearly I need to rest. That would be no tending. And it might be actually fine, because I tend to only do that kind of day when I've had a massive spurt of activity and I do need to restore. Without tending, maybe I could just switch my habit so when I feel blah like that, I could just pack myself a picnic and go outside, like just to my backyard or my front yard, wherever it's shady and there's back support, and hang out with a book in my picnic outside. Okay, so I'll put that. It's an if-then sequence. When having an in-the-dark screen day, make it okay. Or pack a picnic and a book and hang out in the shade outside. Or call a friend and see if they're available for a conversation or a visit that day. Good. All right, social overwhelm. I get overwhelmed when I have more than 2 social things in a day. Like if, for example, I go to church and then I have date night in the evening, I know I can't schedule a third thing in the day that is sociable. Like I can't do, for example, I actually did one time. I went to church, and then I went to a kid's birthday party, and then I went out to dinner with my boyfriend for date night. And I was so exhausted by that point and so thin-skinned because my willpower, my decision-making, and my energy levels were just kaput. And he said something that got under my skin, and I just ended up sobbing in the middle of this diner. And I had to go to the car and collect myself while he got the bill. And that taught me no more than 3 things that are social in a day. So how can I thrive and survive through utter neglect to avoid social overwhelm? I think I've got a routine in place for that, actually. No more than 3 social things per day. Yeah, that's fine. I wonder if there's anything else that's more clever that I could do. No more than 2 social events per day. What else could I do? Give myself permission to go lie down or take a walk when I have company or I'm at somebody's house. Okay, or at a party. Give self permission to lie down or go for a walk when overwhelmed. I think people will understand. A lot of us are introverts, and even a lot of extroverts have learned how to be compassionate toward the introverts in their lives. So I'm going to say that's okay. Ooh, feeling poor. Yeah, man. Okay, so I'm not poor. Let's be clear. My food, my housing, my medical needs, a lot of cushy things like running the air conditioner all summer. I am fucking set when it comes to having my needs met. I'm never gonna be physically deprived of anything that I need because my husband has a great job. When I feel poor, very specifically, I mean, I worry that my fun money account is not going to be sufficient to do all the things I want to do, such as go to the movies, go out for lunches, buy books, that kind of thing. So let's be clear that that is what I am talking about. So I feel poor when I realize I've run out of money to like pick up that snazzy new subscription I want or what have you. And I have little habits. I have little habits that do tend to drain my accounts. Such as eating meals out for dates, such as going out to meals with friends. And I, at one point, turned off my automatic savings transfers because I went on a big trip and I really put my fun money down to the bare minimum. And I worried that the automatic transfers would put me in the red for that account, and I really want to avoid doing that. So one thing I could do is renew the automatic transfers to savings, but at a tiny amount, like $20 per month, until I feel I have more money to transfer and it'll be fine. And another thing I could do is a lot more cooking and entertaining at home. Like, I recently emailed my husband and said, hey, how would you feel if we spent the next month eating all our meals at home, like preparing your lunches at work from home, making breakfast and lunch and dinner at home, and we shunted a little bit more money into the grocery budget and went out less often as an experiment. for a month. Can we see how that would work? And I think it would be really fun to try that. It would bust me out of a rut, so I could make maybe this little routine that we don't eat out. We just don't. Little rule. And that would require very little tending from me, except for this initial informing to my friends that all I do is eat meals in. So if they want to hang out, they either cook for me or I cook for them, or we cook together, and that's the breaks. Okay, I can try that. So we can say start baby savings transfers and make a rule that I only entertain by cooking or by being cooked for. I love this exercise. Oh my gosh. I think this could make my life so much easier if I just own these things. Because there's nothing here that is there's nothing here that's going to hurt anybody. There's nothing here that's going to be socially all that awkward. And it's going to drop so much from my radar and free me up to pursue the things that excite me and fulfill me. I'm feeling a little emotional right now. I'm going to post this shit on the wall and remind myself, because this is like the anti-to-do list. It's the you don't have to do this list. Holy crap. I have literal goosebumps. Okay. Feeling body pain. How can I feel less pain in my body by tending it less? Okay. Well, I think, obviously, I feel pain in my body because I do a lot of sitting and not a ton of movement. And I probably don't sit in the most ergonomic of ways, or do enough variations of movement to keep all the little parts of my body limber and supple, right? So what can I do that won't be an active tending, but will be simply a part of my environment after a little bit of setup? Here are some ideas I have. I could sleep in positions that feel like they keep my body in alignment. I could sit on the floor to put on my shoes, because that would involve getting down, doing little physical movements with my legs and feet to put on my shoes, and then getting up, which is just a little bit of built-in up-down movement, which is so important for your prognosis for how long you're going to live, right? I could sit or lie on the floor when I'm reading or hanging out or watching TV. And I can make my workstation a stand-up workstation, and I can set my workstation up so it's ergonomic. Wow, that was hella clever. Okay, so I could just set up my sleeping position, maybe with like a body pillow and a pillow between the knees, or a pillow supporting my back, so I feel supported when I sleep. I could make little habits of sitting on the floor to put on my shoes, hang out, read, watch TV, and just let that like kind of organic movement with shifting and rolling and curling up and stretching out. That's also natural, just part of my habits. I can make it so I stand and shift and wiggle while I'm working, and I can make my workstation more ergonomic in general to avoid repetitive stress injuries. Dang! This is really cool. Okay. And I think the last thing I'm going to address is this idea of feeling housebound. I'm a really timid driver, and I often feel poor, which means I am super unlikely to use my free time to drive to a coffee shop, for example, or to go visit a friend in a city that's 2 cities over, or, because I'm like, I can't afford to go out too often, and what if I get in a crash, or what if somebody follows me at a close distance and honks at me and makes me really stressed? Or what if I get lost and my phone's dead and it won't charge? Or what if I hit someone else with my car? Like, I find driving super stressful. And I'm currently trying to figure out if I want to accommodate that as part of my mental illness, because I do have bipolar 2 and anxiety. Or if I want to try this sort of exposure therapy thing where I just drive a little bit more and more all the time and build up like how far out my comfort zone is with it. Because I think it would be good for me to be able to drive, 30 minutes out, say, and feel comfortable, and maybe make a rule like, I don't drive in San Francisco because that shit is scary. This really affects my independence, and I don't, because of my responsibilities, I don't really have the time to take public transit, and I don't really have the money to always hire a car service. And I want to the idea here is to tend being housebound is to overcome being housebound without tending to it. This is such a genius framework. I am dying here, because this could really improve my quality of life. I could set up a routine with a friend where they come and they pick me up once a week and take me somewhere. Take me somewhere cheap. And we have a visit. And then we cook for each other. Okay. So what I could do is exchange a home-cooked meal for having a friend pick me up once a week and take me somewhere cheap or free to hang out. Ooh, that's really good. You guys, I'm so excited. You bet your butts I'm going to print this out and try to bring this to my day. I think I'll talk to people about this. I think I'm going to ask all my reflective journaling clients to do this thinking, because this is mind-blowing. Like, I've been thinking, oh my gosh, I have to have all these good habits, and I've got to keep the world up, and I got to do all this stuff, and this is just part of being socially acceptable, and now I'm like, or whoosh, I could just let that shit go, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I just got to put a little bit of thought and initial scaffolding in place, and it'll go. Fuck yes. Whew. Okay, this has been a great episode. I am so excited. I hope you got something out of it too. And in fact, if you didn't, I will be stunned. If you're feeling skeptical, open your mind. This could make things so much better. Shit. Okay. I'm going to go try this shit. I'm going to go do that right now. So I will see you later. Please visit me on the next episode. Goodbye.